TV's This Morning program. I am your host, Jenna Bosonko, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ibrahim Abalde. It was pink yesterday, and it's blue today. Looking good still.
It's blue today.
Yes.
I like colors, Jenaba.
Yeah.
Although pink is my favorite color. But most people said pink is the color for women.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know why I like pink.
Yeah.
Maybe I am part of the women chain.
You are for the women. You're a he for she.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So today,
yeah.
I mean, I decided to be blue.
To be in blue. So I decided to be in yellow.
Yes.
And this outfit is provided by Barcelona Fashion.
Yes.
Shout out to Mohammed. Thank you so much for your support. So like I said, the blue is really, really good.
Exactly.
So I hope you had a good sleep last night.
Yes, although I closed very late from work because I have other things to do before I leave. I left very late to go home, but actually I had a very good...
Yeah, but Ibrahim, how do you balance this? You know, working here and having a family and having other responsibilities. You know, how do you do it? It's amazing how you do it.
Yes, it's not easy, but it's a matter of programming yourself.
Yes.
You know, as time goes on, you'll get used to it.
Do you have a to-do list or something? Does to-do list work for you?
No, I don't. I just do things blindly. I mean, I know if I wake up in the morning, I have to come to work. I have to take care of the kids. They have to go to school. Take care of them, make sure they are okay before I leave the house. So I'm used to it now.
Okay, so it just comes automatically.
Exactly.
All right, that's great. So moving on, if you're just joining this program for the first time, this is QTV's This Morning program, coming your way from Monday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11:30. So we'll just give you a rundown of what we have for you today before we go into the program. So today we have motivational quotes, obviously, just to make sure that they are bold and confident.
Definitely.
Just to conquer their day.
Yeah.
And we also have the newspaper review. Today we're joined by Demba Kande to help us analyze some of the stories on the newspapers. We also have the Community Watch. Today we'll be taking a look at Tobaski relief for the underprivileged. So we will be joined by Usman Jammeh, country manager, Muslim Hands. Also social issues. We'll be talking about dealing with depression. We have Basiru Sane, who'll be joining us here. He's a psychologist, so I think this is a very, very important topic because people are always depressed.
Exactly.
And when they're depressed, people think they're crazy. It's not okay to be depressed. So today, Mr. Basiru Sane will take us through the reason why people think this way and the fact that it is okay not to feel okay.
Exactly.
That's it. And also we would have the sports update by Mamadou Gajaga, and we will also take a look at the Keeping Fit segment footage from Q City. We have to apologize again because yesterday we couldn't bring it due to time constraints again, but hopefully today we'll be able to bring you the Keeping Fit segment.
And the good thing is, Jennifer, you know, this weekend I'll be hitting the gym, inshallah.
You know, we've been promising our viewers.
I've already subscribed to the gym around my area.
Really,
so
we've been promising the viewers for so long. I'm feeling so guilty, so I'm not going to make a promise anymore. I'm just going to hit the gym and get to show my pictures here.
I will do a video and I will send it to you.
Okay, and we will get to share it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just hit the gym without making any promises. So today, the motivational quote that we have, take us through.
Well, motivation. It's important to get something that will give you confidence, Janaba. Take a risk. If you win, you will be happy. And if you lose, you will be wiser.
Okay. Yes. Take risks. If you win, you will be happy. And if you lose, you will be wiser. So this is it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is just trying to talk about the fact that people have to normalize taking risks once in a while, especially for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Sometimes they get to take risks. It works, it might not work. But if it doesn't work, you haven't lost actually anything.
Exactly. You've learned.
Because you've learned something.
Absolutely.
You know, so are you a risk taker?
I am, definitely, yes, I am. Risk is something very important. You know, as a businessman or any other thing that you do, take a risk. I mean, at the end of the time, you will learn from it if you lose.
Yeah.
You understand? Because the formula that you've taken, you will never use that formula again.
Yeah.
So you will take another way and, you know, another style of doing it.
Exactly.
So at the end of the time, you will learn. So if you win, I mean, you've taken the risk. So here, most businessmen in this country or the world at large, you know, they believe in taking risk.
Yeah.
You understand? So most of them will tell you, if you know the risk that I've taken to achieve this.
Get here. And even taking risk is beyond just business. I think taking risk is on a daily basis. These are things I can remember when I was starting my mentorship program, because it is self-funded. I used my own money to get food, to get stationery, to get everything for the kids. So I was like, oh, what if these people do not come?
Yes.
But the kids ended up coming, and it really registered its impact. Just to give you an example of how important it is to just put money into things sometimes, and it could yield dividend, and sometimes you could lose. But then the next time you're doing it, you know the steps that you are supposed to take to actually make it.
Most of the time, if you take risk, I mean, you become successful, Jana. At the end of time, you make it. So risks are something that people should not be afraid of. You know, when you're doing business, in your daily life, in your daily struggle, going up and down, always make sure to take risk. It will be good for you.
But we also have to stress something. The fact that taking risk as well comes in two different forms. There are reasonable risks. There are risks that are too much, you know, they're not worth taking. So sometimes you have to make sure that you strike a balance. There are risks that at least these are things that you can learn from, and it could be good, but there are risks that are not sensible. So we have to make sure also when we're taking risk, we have to balance it in a way that you won't actually lose completely. So I think this is a very good quote. Like we always say, wake up in the morning, you're bold, you're beautiful, you can do it. Just be determined and you're gonna get there.
Nothing should stop you.
Nothing should stop you. So we will take a short commercial break. When we come back, we will take a look at newspaper review. Like I said, we're joined by Demba Kande to help us analyze some of the headlines on these newspapers. Do stay tuned.
We are the smiling coast of Africa. Gap-toothed, wide smile, rich melanin skin, radiant with the colors of a rich tapestry of cultures, telling one story of unity and beauty. Wrapped in the soft folds of a mother's sir, a Khalifa's grandbuba, we embody the past of our ancestors and the promise of our descendants. Follow the records of our history, this story that tells of a people watered by the river in the gleaming sun of a coastal nation. Listen to the folk tales, those old tales we grew up on. Lebon, Lupe, Amon Nafi, Danaam. Hear the music of an entire nation in the language of its heart and mother tongue. Our tongues are heavy with the song of our people. Rich and thick it rolls off like domoda, soft like yasa, bena chinla, nyokomom. Feel the beat of our pounding feet as we dance to the sounds of a throbbing drum, ageless in its rhythm. The griot's kora that speaks the wisdom of the ages. The sweet sound of a mother's lullaby bringing even sweeter sleep. We clap a melody with young and old hands, a symphony full of the pleasures of life, the joys of work and home. We are Gambian. Bi sunyu chosan la, sunyu dika, sunyu boss.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Sunyu deka, sunyu boss.
Sunyu boss la.
Okay, sunyu boss la de.
Well, so nyoko mom.
Nyoko mom mana.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
So moving on, like I said, we're heading right on to the newspaper review. So take us through. I think you have the Standard there.
Yes.
So what is happening there?
On the Standard newspaper, we have Supreme Court overturns Court of Appeals ruling on Eme Karafi.
Okay.
Jammeh victims warn Barrow against working with APRC.
Okay.
Dabo Barrow urged to reconcile ahead of December polls. TRRC report presentation postponed.
All right.
Government proposes 3 million honorarium to narcotic officers, 30 million to GRTS for election coverage.
Okay.
Controversial Babylon Alcalo clarifies comments against Christians.
All right.
I was looking forward to this.
All right. It should be an interesting one.
Yes.
So moving on The Point newspaper, how CEO Sonko's alleged fraud came to light. We also have journalists prepared on fact-checking ahead of December polls. Barrow receives Inspector General of Senegalese Armed Forces. Macky Sall visits hospitals as Senegal COVID-19 situation worsens. That is all we have on The Point newspaper.
Okay, this is the daily news. US says government turns blind eye to corruption.
Okay.
Agriculture and health tops UDP's 5 points agenda. KMC gets first female deputy mayor. Okay, and we also have Mos Alkali of Sankandi explain his absence.
All right,
yes.
So moving on Forea newspaper, Supreme Court to hear Freedom of Information case today. And we also have government, private officials deliberate on combating unconscious biases. We also have Manor Properties ordered to evacuate estate in Bafaloto. We also have Fisheries Minister moves bill to guarantee parliamentary independence. That is all we have on the Forea newspaper. So these are very captivating, like
exactly.
I said. We have Demba Kande here to help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the newspapers. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So on the Standard newspaper, we have something very interesting. I think this is something that we've discussed over and over, but it's worth discussing because it's always soul-facing on these newspapers.
Yeah.
That is the alleged collision between NPP and APRC. Now victims of human rights violations on the 22 years of Yahya Jammeh's rule are coming out to actually frown at this alleged collision. So what's your take on that?
I think it's a very interesting news item. If you look around, there's a lot of talk in town about the possible coalition between the APRC and the NPP. Whatever the situation at the end of the day, what is fundamentally important is that we should not lose sight of dealing with the fundamental issues around the TRRC. Whatever the report says, it's important to understand that the Gambian people want justice, the Gambian people want reconciliation, they want truth. So whatever the case may be at the end of the day, if Barrow or the NPP wants to coalesce with APRC, that's their bread and butter, and they're entitled to coalition. I mean, we're in an open democracy, and the APRC is a legitimate party, so is the NPP. But ultimately, I think the interest of the Gambia should come first.
Mr. Kande, don't you think these victims, the Center for Victims, what they have in mind is that when there is coalition between Barrow and the APRC, don't you think it will affect the recommendations of the TRRC?
Certainly, depending on what form of coalition. There may be, coalition is very broad, and until we see the context or the realities of the coalition, we can't judge that coalition. But what is absolutely right, and you make that point very clear, is that any coalition, any form of coalition will have a direct impact on the implementation of the TRRC report. But at the end of the day also, we haven't seen what's in the TRRC recommendation. We've seen the preliminary report and so on, but it's difficult to say that an APRC NPP coalition is a direct threat to the implementation or full implementation of the TRRC report. I think it would be very premature to make such a judgment. It's no reason why we can't have both. We can't have a situation where there could be a coalition, but at the same time have the TRRC implemented, or the reports or recommendation of the TRRC implemented.
Well, Jenna, there are many things involved. We've seen on the newspaper that the TRRC report presentation have been postponed. So
it should have been this Friday.
Exactly. So there are many things going around this. So people are trying to connect these dots. I don't know if the dots will be connected.
Well, I mean, until we hear from the sources, I think it's important to refrain from making conclusions. I mean, people can connect the dots, and ultimately, I do hope that we get the reasons for the postponement of the report and so on. But at the end of the day, the TRRC was established by law, and whatever the case is, the report, the recommendations will become public, very shortly, hopefully, and that at the end of the day, we will be able to judge whatever government that we have in place on their ability or their efforts to implement or not implement the recommendations of the TRRC.
Yeah, like we always say on this platform, we are optimistic. We can't make any conclusions yet because this white paper is not out. So all of us are waiting for it and optimistic about the fact that these recommendations will eventually be implemented by the government. So moving on, this is something that we discussed yesterday as well, but it's coming up again, which is how CEO Sonko's alleged fraud came to light. Yesterday I talked about the fact that maybe this particular issue should further push the Gambian government or push civil society to push government to actually swiftly bring about the Anti-Corruption Commission, whereby if that existed, this would have been just sent there and an independent decision could have been made in relation to this saga.
That's a very important point. In fact, I would say that we have seen over the years perception of public corruption has skyrocketed in the Gambia. This is very unfortunate. Perception of public corruption at the Office of the President, Office of the Security Services, National Assembly, almost all government service providers. The perception of the public is that there is massive corruption at a high level. We saw the U.S. Department report, saying the government generally turns a blind eye to corruption, which is very unfortunate. So there is this, among other examples, enough reasons for government, if they are very serious about dealing with corruption, to take legitimate efforts and they take concrete action, including the passage of the anti-corruption bill and the establishment of corruption commission, and the staffing of such a commission and the operationalization of such a commission is very, very important, because perception of public corruption is very, very detrimental to the functioning of a government.
Well, you have corruption. It's like we've been talking about corruption for a very long time in this country. And remember when the president came into office, he promised the world he will fight corruption. Ministers will declare their assets and the like. So, what do you think is the problem?
I think corruption is a very, very endemic issue in the Gambian society. It pervades different sectors of society. It's a very difficult issue to tackle. I know the president was optimistic back in 2017 that this is something that we can take on and deal with very squarely, very quickly. Unfortunately, 5 years or 4 years down the line, nothing much has happened. I would say that, from our data or research data at Afrobarometer, we've seen that, in fact, the perception of public corruption in 2018 was lower, much, much lower. In some cases, it has doubled, right? People have now seen government as being more corrupt, than it was, or than they saw government back in 2017 or 2018, which is rather unfortunate. So what has the government done, or what has Barrow done? Maybe nothing much, but there is still opportunity. You understand? We saw the passing of the Access to Information Bill a few weeks ago, which is a very good tool in terms of dealing with corruption and ensuring transparency and access to information. We hope that that bill will be assented to by the president and that implementation will start in earnest. Some of those actions will help deal with public corruption.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with Adedarami. I don't know if he's watching. And I asked him this question. I said, if Barrow assents to the Access to Information Bill, what can this bring? What can this change? He was like, don't be too excited, Jainaba. I've seen countries where the Access to Information Bill has been passed and nothing changed.
Absolutely. It's, again, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
In countries like Sierra Leone, in countries like Nigeria, they have access to information law, but nothing much really has changed, to be honest. But we do hope that we will make the difference in the Gambia.
And looking at an anti-corruption commission in Sierra Leone, currently it's working for them. Because normally this is actually a commission that is being used as a reference in different countries. Now their anti-corruption commission is working quite well, So I think this is something that we can bring up. And solving the issue of corruption it's from the top coming down with kickbacks in existence and all of that. To be honest, it's really hard to deal with.
Definitely. We see corruption in almost all sectors, individuals, institutions, and sometimes we quote-unquote normalize it, in the form of chogoguru, in the form of maslaha, and so on and so forth. So, but like you said, if we start from the top and deal with some of these issues in a very leadership, mature and strong leadership style, prosecute people, bring them before the book, bring about justice and so on and so forth, then people will open their eyes to some of these menaces and deal.
The problem that we have, like starting from the top, but who's going to start it? That's the problem. We've been talking about this for a very long time, to eradicate corruption, to fight corruption. Access to Information Bill, Jana, but you've mentioned something very important. Even if the information is passed, if top do not agree and they act according to the Information Bill, it will be a white elephant.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, true, But we do hope, because there are also oversights within the law. that ordinary citizens like you and I could challenge government institutions, public institutions, and hopefully there would be an independent commission that will oversee the implementation of the bill. So
let's see what will come out of it. And recently I saw the Gambia Procurement Authority as well training some contracts committee staff about this procurement. It starts from there as well. Procurement is a problem when it comes to corruption. So I hope that particular training as well will change the mindsets of these people when it comes to procuring stuff on behalf of Gambian people. So moving on the Standard newspaper, we see that they're trying to bring about some reconciliation between Barrow and Dabo. Should this concern us as Gambian citizens? You know, ahead of December, they're trying to say that Barrow and Dabo should actually reconcile. But should this really concern us as citizens? Is this what our attention should be directed to at this point in time?
That's a very good question. I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we need a very peaceful, transparent, free and fair election in December. And that's fundamental that the key players, and we know whether we like it or not, Dabo and the UDP are a key player, so is President Barrow and the NPP. So, and if you go around town, if you, monitor the media, if you monitor especially social media, you know that there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of tension between the NPP and the UDP. So any form of reconciliation would definitely boost the credibility of a peaceful and free, fair election in December.
Well, most people are saying the peace in this country depends on UDP and NPP. And do you agree?
I don't necessarily agree. I think that's an overstretch, but I think that all of us, contribute significantly to, peace and stability. And honestly, there's a lot of, perception of the UDP and NPP. I mean, especially the APRC elements that have moved from APRC to NPP, and some of the UDP elements that have moved from UDP to NPP, being a bit more militant than the average political party militants in the Gambia. Whether that is true or not, it's something else. But ultimately, all of these actors, the political parties, civil society, the media, all of us have a critical role in terms of ensuring a peaceful election in December.
Sometimes, Janaba, what I call political maturity, I always mention this on this platform. Don't you think party militants, they have a very important role to play?
Sure.
Because most of the time, you see party leaders, sometimes they meet at a place and enjoy themselves,
Inter-party committee breakfast meetings.
Spend time together. But for us, the militants, we'll be insulting each other.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, yes. And that's part of, I think, in terms of political socialization, each political party has their way of, grooming, sensitizing, and training their members, so, and that's important that therefore that, this political socialization is such that it enables people, the militants, they're trained or sensitized in a way that is very open, that is very democratic, and very peaceful. And that is something critical to ensuring the election is free, fair, and peaceful in December.
All right.
Well, Jenna, if Barrow and UDP happens to give hands to each other, well, that's their own. All that we want is peace in this country. All that we want is peace.
But like I said, that's why I was asking that question, if this should really be a concern. Because for me, reconciling should actually be something automatic on their end. Election comes and go. At the end of the day, it is okay for all these political parties to join hands and work together. And talking about reconciliation and peace, we've also seen that that particular Babylon Alcalo that actually allegedly made negative comments about the Christian community. And we saw that the Human Rights Commission came and decided to actually say that that statement was really wrong. And obviously that is what all Gambian citizens believe, because looking at the Gambia here, Christians and Muslims live in harmony in here. But he came out to also say that that is not what he meant, according to the reports that we're getting. He's saying that he was misquoted. He did not refuse to give land to the Christian community to actually build a church. So I guess little issues as this can actually fuel and cause other problems.
I think that's important. And then I would here put a word of caution to the media,
Yeah.
you know, and some of the issues that we publish. I think it's important that we focus on, you know, critical issues that unite us more.
Exactly.
And when we come across these kind of sentiments, especially negative sentiments, it's important to alert the sources that this is what you're saying, and this is, you know, ridiculous, and you know, make them understand how ridiculous what the point they're making is, and if they still insist and you think this is important in the national conversation, it's in the public interest, then you go ahead and publish. But otherwise, you don't just allow anybody to say whatever they want as though it's social media. That's what the fundamental difference between mainstream media is from social media.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Sometimes we're so in a haste to have amazing headlines, because when I saw that headline, it was really catchy. That particular headline was really catchy. And sometimes we just tend to pick those things that could actually bring about chaos. I'm not saying we should be censored, but like you said, the responsible journalism is important. That is why I'm going to take you through another story that is connected to this, about the fact that journalists are currently being trained on fact-checking. You know, as a lecturer, you know, and part of the GPU, talking about the journalism code of conduct and all of that. Is this something that Gambian journalists are really taking seriously?
This is important. Fact-checking and you know, combating fake news, misinformation, disinformation is very critical. We're in an election year. Politicians are very much fond of, you know, lying in some cases about their programs, and sometimes they tend to, you know, overly exaggerate their programs. And as such, journalists, our responsibility is to hold public officials to account. You know, and so therefore one way we can do this is by fact-checking their statements. And as such, this kind of training and a lot of the other work that we do at the level of the SJDM at the university and at the GPU is to ensure that journalism and the media in the Gambia live up to its responsibility under Section 207 of the Constitution, holding government officials, public officials to account, and making sure that whatever we do at the end of the day, whether it's in the public or private sector, it's ensuring that there is some form of public interest or public element interest in it.
That should be checked properly when it comes to information. The information that you send out, right, as journalists, I think it should be reliable and it should be something, it should be the truth. But now we have a lot of journalists in this country, you know. If you have your smartphone, you are a journalist. If you sit on radio, you are a journalist. I've seen DJs turn to journalists, you know. So what should be done to make sure this thing is regulated?
I think it's important. There are a lot of regulations around this. There is the Gambia Press Union Code of Conduct, and recently I saw the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority.
They're tightening.
Yeah, they've brought in some regulations as well. There's the Information and Communication Act. It has some very broad regulatory framework. And there's the Media Council of the Gambia. So a lot of framework, a lot of regulatory practices. I think what is necessary or what is needed is that institutions, especially newsrooms, you know, should also try to embrace these regulations and implement them. And there's need for journalists to also study some of these principles, some of these regulations, and try to, you know, internalize them. So if you're a journalist and you know the GPU Code of Conduct frowns at, you know, telling lies, you know the GPU Code of Conduct frowns at being biased, and so on and so forth, and you sort of internalize some of these principles, then you make life easy, no issues anywhere at all.
Well, I think journalists should know they have a very big role to play, especially December 4th is on the way coming. So they should be able to give us reliable information. You know, we don't want problem in this.
We don't want, and like I said recently, I was just having a conversation with kids at Kotu High School. I spoke to them about the fact that the GPU should be your first step in being a good broadcaster. You seem authentic. Your viewers have trust in you. When you report, they'll be like, oh, Jenaba Sonko lila wa, Ibrahim Abalde lila wa, so you low lengo. That is how you build that trust.
There was a time I saw someone posted something. I think it was, he said, I am watching QTV. If they send the information, then I will believe. So you see,
and you know why that is. You know why that is. Most of the time, I talk about something. I talk about the fact that sometimes there are reports that are reported on other media outlets. But for QTV, it could take us 2 to 3 days before we report it. And the reason is because we are checking the facts. We are making sure it is the right thing. It is not about reporting it first, but it's about verifying it. Even if it's still, let it be still, but get it right.
Jennifer, I can attest to that. Many a times, I mean, the news department will tell you, get the other side of the story.
Yes.
Don't only send one-sided story out. So I think as journalists, they should really consider those
I think we are bigging up Mr. Ade right now.
it's not as absolutely important, because at the end of the day, that is what really matters in the media. Because as a journalist, the moment you lose your trust, the public trust, then you're done.
You're done with it. There's nothing that can bring that back.
So that's why it's important to check all the boxes before you go on air.
You talked about something. You talked about the fact that sometimes politicians tend to exaggerate, tend to say things that are not possible. So, and we've seen that according to the papers, UDP is saying that health and agriculture is on top of their agenda. And I've seen that manifestos now are becoming something that Gambian citizens are referring to. And it's just happening now. So why the need for this?
This is important because when we focus more on the issues, then we forget about personalities.
Exactly.
We forget about Barrow and Dabo, having a person pool, or Barrow being maybe a sleepy president, and so on and so on. We focus more on what can the NPP government do? What should we expect under a UDP government? What do we expect under a GDC government, and so on and so forth. Then we focus on the issues that the Gambian people want to talk about: public health, access to health, education, dealing with public corruption, and so on and so forth. That becomes the issue. What I want to point out for journalists is that it's not enough for politicians to tell you, okay, our program is 5 points on education, agriculture, but go beyond them telling you this is our program, but how do you want to implement this?
That's the big question.
Because that's important. Because it's easy for me to sit down here as a politician and say, okay, if you elect me, I can build you a university, build you this, build you that, or do that. But how? And as a journalist, I mean, we have the critical and very sharp mind where we can, poke holes in some of their programs and then make it more reasonable and make sure we're critical on behalf of the Gambian people.
When you look at most of the manifesto of all these political parties, they will mention health, they'll talk about farming, they'll talk about a lot of things. But most of the time, health is part of their agenda. Don't you think this is just a political approach to win the hearts of Gambians?
Politicians will always, bring fancy terms, big words, and very interesting programs.
Because, I mean, since day one, since Gambia gained its independence, political parties have been giving us a lot of excuses when it comes to health, agriculture. 1994 coup came, the same thing. And now we are in another regime.
And really, basically, as journalists, so we are kind of like the should I say, the coaches or maybe the referee in this, making sure that when people come and make a claim, we check and make sure that their claim is legitimate and that their claim is sound and it's reasonable. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not for us to tell the Gambian people who to vote for, but it's for us to fact check, cross check, and be critical to the programs of the various political parties and ask questions on behalf of the Gambian people.
So I saw, when I see accidents, reports on car accidents on the newspaper, I'm always sad, because I feel like these accidents, these are some things that we could prevent if we are responsible as Gambian people. So, and recently we've seen that Operation Clear the Streets has also started. So we just hope that this particular initiative can help. So quickly, what do you think about the initiative due to time constraints?
I think it's a very good initiative. If you apply Banjul, the Westfield Tobacco Road, for instance, places where you cannot, why park cars there? And you see a lot of, old cars that have not driven for a long time, parked just on the roadside. Or some drivers will come and park on the road. I mean, it makes the road so narrow and difficult to drive by. And so hopefully this will help free more space. And then, as you can see, there's so much traffic jam around town. So hopefully that will ease the
So I think responsible driving can save us. So due to time constraints, we have to wrap this particular session up. It's always good to have you here. My former lecturer, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah,
and he's so strict in class.
Well, he looked very friendly.
Yeah, this is how, and this is how life is. So now it's a student-teacher conversation.
Kanda is a fuller.
Yes.
Pulo hondo.
Polo Kunta.
When Fullers meet,
they do these things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Kanda, for coming. We are excited to have you back on the newspaper review segment to help us analyze some of the stories on the newspapers. So viewers, we will take a short commercial break. When we come back, we will take a look at Community Watch, Tobaski Relief for Underprivileged. We will have Usman Jammeh, Country Manager, Muslim Hands. Do stay tuned.
Step into the future of television with sleek and slim design Samsung Smart TVs, ranging in size from 32 to 75 inches, and in different technology. Smart LED, Crystal UHD, Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dot LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV as our TVs offer an unparalleled vision adventure from the comfort of your living room. Ultra viewing angle, powerful picture quality, web browser, gallery, EarthNet LAN, wireless LAN built-in, Bluetooth, screen mirroring technology, mobile on TV mirroring, built-in voice assistance, Wi-Fi direct. Not only that, our TVs are backed with 12 months warranty and we are currently on a promotion. Contact us on 333-3217.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV's This Morning program. Thank you so much, Demba Kande, for joining us. Moving on, we have the Community Watch segment where Tobaski Relief for Underprivileged. We have Usman Jammeh, Country Manager, Muslim Hands. But before that, we will take a look at the story, and the story is by Babu Kasise. Muslim Hands, an international aid agency and NGO, on Tuesday distributed meat to differently abled persons and the needy in the Gambia to ease the financial burden on vulnerable during Tobaski. Babu Kasise has the rest of that.
Tobaski is a time when Muslims come together and celebrate. Animals are sacrificed to commemorate the event. However, not all families are privileged to afford a ram. At Brikama Jamisa, 5 cows were presented to 35 differently abled persons and their families. Muslim Hands Country Manager Usman Jammeh explains.
Muslim Hands Gambia has been doing Kurbani for the past 2 decades. It's more than 20 years now. And this year we are rendering support to 4 communities, namely Jiborakuta, Jambur, the differently able in Brikama, and the needy in Kotu. As a result, 21 bulls are slaughtered and shared among 147 needy Muslims.
So that story by Babu Kasise on Muslim Hands donating some meat. Ibrahima?
Well, I mean, but that's a very good story, and at the same time, I think this is what people need when it comes to feast like this. And we also need people like Muslim Hands in our society, at least to help. So it will be very interesting, and we have him in the studio.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jammeh, for the work that you do. So today you'll be taking us through the operations of Muslim Hands. So just take us through how Muslim Hands come about. I know you give beyond what we've seen on this particular video. So how did it come about as an NGO or a foundation?
Thank you very much, Jenaba. Muslim Hands has been around since 1993. And we've been in development and relief, as well as in poverty alleviation. And I think the problem has been we have not been very visible. But now we're trying to be visible so that actually a lot of Gambians know that we are around and what we do. We are in integrated development. We are in water, We are in supporting orphans. We are also in education in terms of supporting orphans and other vulnerable children in terms of providing scholarships wherever it is necessary. We are also in health so that we can bring around doctors, specialist doctors that can take care of very serious ailments in the country. And we are also in that. We are also in the construction of mosques so that a greater number of Muslims can have congregational prayers together with their fellow Muslims. We are also in hunger and malnutrition control. So livelihoods and also the environment. So actually this is development work we are into. So we've also realized that a lot of people enjoy Tobaski meat in this country. But we also understand that there are vulnerables that cannot also afford it. So that being the case, we decided that we should be providing bowls for some of those vulnerables. And we've been doing this for more than 2 decades now. And normally the bowl is shared amongst 7 heads of families. They could be women-headed families, they could be men-headed families, so that they go back with the meat and enjoy with the family. You know, looking at the statistics in the country, you realize that the average family size is 10. So we've been able to slaughter 21 bulls, large animals we normally refer to, and that was shared among 4 communities. And that's about 140 heads of families, which will translate to 1,400 members of the household in the country. So we've been doing this for a long time. This year, in fact, the number of bulls has actually gone down. It could go to up to 100 bulls, 200, 300 at times. Yes, that is what we essentially do.
Okay, Mr. Jammeh, before we go deep into discussion, can you tell us when was this Muslim hands found, and in which countries are you present right
now? Yeah, it was founded in 1993 in Nottingham in the United Kingdom. We are in about 50 countries, and in West Africa we are in about 8 countries. We are in Gambia, Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, and so on and so forth. So we are in a lot of countries.
Okay, so
yes,
like you mentioned,
but countries are different levels in terms of implementations of the objectives of the organization. Okay. But here in Gambia we are a little bit down, and now we are trying to strengthen and expand. Yes.
Okay, and I'm happy about the fact that now you're working on the publicity just so people know some of the services that you can offer to respective communities. Founded in 1993 in Nottingham, UK. So who's funding this particular organization?
Yeah, the funding is coming from individuals around the world. It's also coming from groups, big organizations. They may be Muslims, they may be non-Muslims. Okay. So we also want to make it clear that Muslim Hands is a non-faith organization. Although it can support Muslims, Christians, and people who do not belong to any religion. Okay. Yes, especially when it comes to relief. As we speak now, we know we have an emergency in terms of the disaster that happened, the windstorm disaster. We are also working very closely with the National Disaster Agency and other partners to ensure we support the people that are affected by the disaster. We are also in that.
Okay, so if you support different faiths, so why the name Muslim Hands? How did that come about? Considering the fact that you get to support both Christians and Muslims?
Yeah, it depended among the people who founded it. Okay. It's just like the Christian Relief Services. Okay. You know, there are Christian Relief Services where they are non-faith.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Jammeh, we really appreciate what you do, and at the same time, we understand there are many NGOs like this doing the same kind of job in the Gambia, helping people. Few months back, we've heard about a particular NGO saga. No need to mention names, you know. It was alleged they've been collecting funds from donors and they've not been implementing as promised in the Gambia. How different is Muslim Hands from those NGOs?
You know, for me, that is normal. In every organization, set of organizations, you will see good things, you will also see bad things. And some of the organizations, like some of the NGOs I may refer to as handbag NGOs, they are around. But that's dependent on how they are managed by government. But as far as we are concerned, we are monitored all over the place because there is Tango around. There is, there is also our headquarters in UK, who are always after us. Whatever fund is spent, we must justify how it is spent. there are reputable NGOs in the Gambia, and we are very close with most of them. Like, we know about Direct Aid that is doing exactly what we are doing. We know about Action Aid the Gambia, we're working closely. We know about CRS. We know about a lot of NGOs. All those are supposed to be checked, honest. But what is important in every organization, they should ensure they have honest, sincere, dedicated people. That is very important. And government should also be up and running to ensure whoever is coming into the country works on its own, or works on its objective, and it should not cause any problem. So as far as we are concerned,
control mechanisms
is important.
in relation to these things.
There must be a particular person or a particular department to monitor the work of this. Jennifer, I understand too they are into vocational training.
Yeah, which is important.
Yes. That's why I said integrated development. That is, we supporting orphans. We also supporting them in terms of skills development
and widows,
so that when they graduate, at least they are able to fend for themselves. That is what we are doing. You're looking at tailoring, you're looking at livestock development, agriculture, things like that. But this is essentially for orphans, people who cannot afford it. You support them in terms of finance, you support them in terms of skills development, so that when they graduate, they're able to fend for themselves and their families.
All right. And I also know that you provide farmers with livestock. You support farmers. And I know the rainy season has just started, but I'm getting reports that the rainy season is not looking good for now on their side. But we can't conclude on that yet because it just started. But what are you going to do for farmers this year? Any plans?
Yes, we've been working with the National Disaster Agency, and at the moment, we have generated 3 reports about the situation of the disaster, and at Muslim Hands, we have also developed a proposal out of those reports sent to the headquarters so that we have funding in terms of the availability of early maturing varieties of seeds, because we know that the rainy season is not very good, but if you go into crops like cowpea, which is early maturing, and then you go for other crops, which can mature in 2-3 months, then that will help.
Okay.
Yes. So in our proposals, we have things like that, and we also want to encourage organic farming, because if you look around, you look at what NEMA project has been doing. It has established some organic chambers, and then we want to see how we can expand on that, so that people actually do not use much of chemical fertilizer, but use organic fertilizer, so that will help also.
I think that is interesting. So Ibrahima, do you have any further questions for him?
Tell us some of the challenges that you face along the way. I mean, anything you see, there must be challenges.
Yeah, there are challenges because Muslim Hands, the staff capacity is very low. Normally what we do, we work with groups like CBOs, we work with local NGOs around the country, and work with other partners. So that monitoring sometimes is a Herculean task. Yes, I know because of the low capacity of the staff. That is one thing we are looking at. That is one thing we are discussing with the headquarters, so that at least the staff strength can be improved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the low capacity, is it due to lack of money to get people with the expertise required, or what is the problem?
As I said at the beginning, Muslim Hands has not been very much strengthened in the country. That is one thing we are looking at, so that we can improve in terms of capacity and also in terms of numbers. Because as we speak, we have a staff role of just 7 people in the whole organization. So we have a lot of work to do with a lot of partners.
How do you determine, I mean, this set of people need help, these people need borehole, these people, do you go around looking, or do you watch TV?
One important one is QTV.
Okay.
In fact, the last time I was talking to Babukar,
that's right.
He wanted to hear that.
The last time I was talking to Babukar, that I've been watching QTV, we've been seeing people asking for boreholes.
Yes.
People not having clean drinking water. I said we would be interested in having a list of what you have. Although we are also liaising with NGOs, people also write to us to tell us this is the problem. So we go to verify also to see actually what is the problem. So we look at vulnerables, because NDMA has done some studies, some work, at least to look at vulnerables throughout the country, and we are looking at that. So we look at that. But when it comes to identifying vulnerables, especially for meat distribution, we liaise with the mosque committees in the various locations, because we do not know the communities.
Yes.
But the mosque committees will be able to identify for us, these are the people who cannot afford to slaughter a ram. things like that.
Okay.
Yes.
But do you get to verify these things? Because
yes,
I
yes.
actually had a program with a specific NGO whereby the community leaders chose the people that they wanted to choose, and those people weren't actually eligible. So there's a verification mechanism?
Actually, what we do, we'll invite them to the office, the committee, we will discuss the guidelines, and then they will understand. And then we will leave them to choose, and then they will send us the names, the telephone numbers. We'll verify.
To verify whether they received or not.
No, if they're eligible or not.
In fact, we would always be on the ground when we slaughter.
Okay.
So we will know whether they receive or not, to verify whether they are actual vulnerable.
Exactly.
Whether they cannot afford a RAM. Because that is important.
Otherwise, Jennifer, you know, corruption, I mean, it's a problem.
And if these people are not eligible, then we get to defeat the purpose.
Yeah, you can have an imam, for instance, or a mosque committee member taking the meat on his own.
Exactly, yeah.
And he may not be a vulnerable.
Exactly.
Although an imam can also be a vulnerable in some cases.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your coming, and thank you for the work that you do. And like you said, as QTV, we will continue to report and send out the stories of people so that organizations such as Muslim Hands will be able to pick communities to support. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your support. So viewers, moving on, we have social issues. And today, the topic on the social issues segment is dealing with depression. We have Basiru Sane right in the studio. He will take us through this. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will head right on to social issues dealing with depression.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow.
Step into the future of television with sleek and slim design Samsung Smart TVs, ranging in size from 32 to 75 inches and in different technology. Smart LED, Crystal UHD, Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dot LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV as our TVs offer an unparalleled vision adventure from the comfort of your living room. Ultra viewing angle, powerful picture quality, web browser, gallery, EarthNet LAN, wireless LAN built-in, Bluetooth, screen mirroring technology, mobile on TV mirroring, built-in voice assistance, Wi-Fi direct. Not only that, our TVs are backed with 12 months warranty and we are currently on a promotion. Contact us on 333-3217.
Welcome back, viewers, from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV's This Morning Show, and we're going to head right on to our social issues segment. We're joined by Basiru Sane. He's a clinical psychologist, and today, yes, Mr. Sane.
Just to rectify that.
Okay.
And yes, and I work with a clinical psychologist, but
Yeah.
I'm a social worker and a public health
Yes,
officer.
so clinical psychologist. You work under that department, but not specifically.
Yes,
okay,
and my boss is the clinical psychologist.
Okay, that's amazing. So it's good that you're making this clarification.
Yeah.
But obviously, he can speak on behalf of his boss when it comes to issues of
course,
depression
social
and
issues,
psychology in general. Thank you so much for that rectification. So like I said, we will be talking about dealing with depression. Ibrahima, this is a very important topic considering the fact that it is not okay to be depressed in Gambia. It is not okay to talk about it when you're depressed in Gambia. People do not believe you. So today we have Mr. Sane to actually help us break depression down,
exactly.
break the discrimination down, for us
important
to actually understand and embrace that it is okay to be frustrated, it is okay to be depressed.
Yeah, it's part of the human life to be depressed, to be stressed. I mean, but it's important in our society. When you are depressed to some extent, they will be like, "Sawaji dafa dof legi."
Wow.
Legi fum neka hell be tuti mo.
Wala dafa soft, wala dafa opa.
In fact, they will add more problems to your depression, and it makes you more depressed.
Exactly.
I mean, so it will be important for us to have him here.
Yeah.
Today to at least discuss and we share ideas so that people can learn from this. Yeah, so welcome.
So thank you so much, Mr. Sada, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, if you take a look at it, you know, as young people in our generation now, there's one phrase that most of us use. That is, we are going to safeguard our mental health. Because if something is wrong with your mental health, you're the only individual affected. So let's talk about mental health first. What is mental health and why the need to actually safeguard your mental health to be able to live healthily?
Thank you very much, and also good morning to our listeners and viewers down there. Mental health, and from the definition of WHO, is a state of well-being in which an individual is able to realize his or her own potentials, and is able to cope with the normal life stresses, normal life stressors, and also able to work productively and fruitfully, and able to contribute to his own community. Okay, so when you look at it, for you to be able to realize your own potential, there need to be self-awareness first. That means you have to be able to realize your own feelings and how your feelings also can affect those people around you, but also be able to help people around you also be able to know what feelings are they going and how also are they affecting others. And that is in other way our social realities. Okay. So that's in the definition of mental health. But when you look at it also in the other component of the definition, it talks about you working productively and also fruitfully. For you to achieve that, you need to have that good social network. People that are aware of also when you are stressed and when you are having a bad day. And I like the fact that you said that, yes, these are things that we cannot avoid in life.
Yes.
So in other words, emotions, and all emotions are normal. It depends on the behavior that you put in place. So the behaviors are the ones that are not normal.
Okay, so now take us through how to safeguard that mental health, how to ensure that you do not reach that stage of becoming depressed, because there must be a process. How can you do that? I know you already talked about people around you getting to understand you, but it goes beyond that.
Yes, when you look at in mental health, that's what we call the mental health continuum, of which I put in my presentation, but I don't know whether they will be able to project it. Otherwise, the mental health continuum is a kind of a spectrum containing different facial expression and also with different colors. You have the green, you have the yellow, you have also the orange, and then you have the red. And each of these colors also represents something. Okay, when you are in the green, it means you are at a state of health. And it means you can relate to people very well, you can eat and then sleep very well, and all those things. But also, from that health state, you can move to what we call the reacting state. In this reacting state, that means you can easily be irritated, get anger, and even on small issues. So at these two states, and this is what we call self-care and social support. This is where the self-care and social support. What it means is that if you take care of yourself at this level, you will be able to go back to the normal state of health. But also, if your people that are around you also are supportive, it means you will not move to the other level. So the other level, which is also we call it the injured, that means now you are bleeding and all those things. That is an outburst of anger and not able to come out from your room, in fact, and isolating yourself and all those things. In that area, you need what we call professional support, and the professional support. And from that, that injured state, the individual can be very aggressive as well. And if professional help is not given to the individual at that point also, the person might move to the ill state. and which in many people in our society will call key dafadof and all those things. And in that state, the therapy that can be put in place could be psychotherapy and could be also with a combination of drugs, use of drugs.
Okay, I just want to understand this. If you get to the red stage, I mean, is it possible for them to bring you back to green? I just want to know, because most people in our societies today, they were okay, but at some point, they move to the red stage.
Of course.
So now you see them walking and you'll be like, oh, okay, but maybe it's the society they lived. So what about if the society or the family members or the loved ones change their behavior towards him? Can that bring him back to green?
Very well, but of course, at that point, you know very well that it's with the professional and you need professional care. So not only your social networking or the family can be able to support you to come back to the self-care and the social support, but together with the professional help. That means you have to receive the counseling and if need be, the medication as well. So for me, I work in an organization called Peace of Mind, and in our organization we have 2 clinical psychologists.
Wow.
Yes, 2 clinical psychologists. In fact, the one who is the expert in this area is coming back today from Germany. She should have been the one to attend this one. Okay, but she decided for me to come on her behalf.
Okay.
So you can see, at Peace of Mind, we help those kind of individuals when you are at that stage. The psychologists will provide the psychotherapy and the counseling, and then we have social workers also who will be your mentors. That means reaching out to you, to your environment, and then also giving psycho-educational to the families and also the people that are around you for them to be able to know when and what to do when you come to a crisis.
How appropriate. Peace of mind. I like the name.
Yeah, it's important to have peace of mind. I think, and there's something that I want to draw your attention to. Simon, the gymnastic, currently we all know that the Olympics is on, and Simon currently, she decided to withdraw from the Olympics, and you can, this is the statement that she gave. She said, I have to put my pride aside. I have to do what's right for me and focus on my mental health and not jeopardize my health and well-being. That's why I decided to take a step back. This is what Simon said. And she is actually a gold medalist. She decided to withdraw. What is the importance of coming out to talk about your depression when you are depressed? We are taking the mental health, the one that you were talking about, from green to yellow to red and all of that. This is just what you just explained right now. So let's talk about this. Why the need to actually come out to say, I am depressed, I am not feeling well, I am not good today?
It is very important because it is something that none of us is immune. And therefore, all of us will be able to take it very seriously. Because once your mental health is not there, you will not be able to do anything correctly or to help others. So for us, we like saying that if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot be there for other people in a more sustainable way. Even if you pretend to be there, it will not be sustainable. At some point, you'll break down. You'll have a breakdown. So obviously, what you just read from the statement of Simon is very important for him or her to prioritize the mental health. Because with that, she will be able to perform. If she is to come back, she will be able to perform very well. And she will be able to face also the crowd and then be able also to face the media and then speak. Very important. So, of course, our mental health, without it, it will affect our physical health as well. It will affect our spiritual health. It will affect our social networking. So, mental health is the...
Let's talk about depression. According to a study, it is said women are more depressed than men. How true is this study?
Yes, the study, in fact, it says that women are affected by depression twice than men. Okay? There are some factors that are contributing to that. Because when you look at their multiple work and family responsibility that they take. Okay, you talk of also the sexual and then the physical abuse that women goes through, but also you think of also the postpartum depression when they give birth. All those ones are contributing factors. But also we can look at it in another way. Women tend to seek for help more than men. Men, they tend to deny their depression state and all those things. So women, they go out, and of course, we will see more diagnosis from them than men. But obviously, when you look at also their responsibility in the family, trying also to please everybody, and in that process, they tend to forget themselves. They don't take care of themselves at that point, because they want to please everybody in the family, at least to be the superwoman, and of which, yes, we commend them, but they need to take care of themselves as well. So
okay. Jennifer, I think you have a question for him.
Yeah, so like this is exactly what you were talking about. You talked about being healthy, reacting, being injured and ill. That is what we are seeing in front of us right now. And I think it is very important what you talked about, the fact that people around you can actually contribute to how you feel as an individual, because it's people around you sometimes that tend to bully you and actually lead you to becoming a depressed individual. So bullying in offices, bullying in schools, I think this is a problem that needs to be solved as well.
Of course. As Peace of Mind, we work with some schools, and the approach that we are using in schools to come to this point is what we call the emotional intelligence.
Exactly.
We want the children to understand their emotion, how they feel. And in emotional intelligence, it brings the 4 core components, and which is the self-awareness, the self-regulation, the social awareness, and also the social regulation. Being aware of your own emotions and how they affect the others around you also will help you a lot to know how you should behave around others. So when they understand the emotional intelligence, of course, they will be able to check on themselves when they are feeling somehow abnormal, when they are feeling some abnormalities, and especially when they are entering into the reacting state. So you can see in the health state, in the health, what are some of the things that are there. You can see normal sleeping and also calmness and all those things. These are all things that are in the health state. But when you go to the reacting state, yes, then when you go to the reacting state, it's a different thing. It means you have started to face some challenges, and if you don't put yourself together, you may move to another, the other state, which is the injured. Yes, and then in this state of reacting, it's very important also for the people around you to try to help you, because those people also, for them to be able to do that, they must be aware to say, oh, I believe this colleague is having something or is going through
But Mr. Sane, the big question is, do people even know? Is this even something that people get to learn in class, to understand that mental health and depression, this is something real and it needs to be accepted? Because Gambian people don't want to accept this. Today, if I go to a colleague of mine and tell the individual that I'm stressed, I have back pain because I am stressed, they'll be like, yo, lolo fum am? So ignorance la wala nyaka janga, like that's what I want to understand. What's the problem with these things that people refuse to accept?
I think also that the awareness is very low.
Okay.
Although the people in the field are trying their best to raise the awareness, but I will not say that it is the responsibility of those people in that field alone. People like the journalists, also the teachers and all those things, because you talk about the schools. So for us, the school is something that is a priority for us, because we know that it's an arena where mental disorders also are coming from, looking at the people that they are dealing with. So for us, we even have a project in place for schools. We call it the Happy School Project. The Happy School Project, unfortunately, we applied for a funding, we couldn't get it, but we are still struggling for that. And with that Happy School Project, we have a package also that talks about the teachers, raising their mental health awareness, the teachers. Because when you look at, according to studies, adolescents, they are also going through a lot. And in fact, deaths that are related to adolescents, in fact, some of them are more related to suicide. But the risks the risk is the depression.
Yeah, and currently we are seeing the physical symptoms of actually being stressed. I can remember there was a time that I had constant back pain. At the time, I didn't realize that actually that could cause, it's because of stress. I was going to the hospital. You know, I'm just sharing this just to tell people that anybody can go through this. I had constant back pain, pain coming from everywhere. I couldn't tell if because I was stressed or I didn't know. So at some point I had to speak to a specific doctor, and that person actually engaged me. Did not give me any medication. The person actually engaged me and said, girl, you're stressed. You need to take a break. And now we're seeing the physical symptoms of being stressed.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, most of the clients that come to our office and would not realize that they are going through this.
You can't tell.
Because many people are going to the clinics, to the hospital to take for medication. But the actual thing is that probably they are not physically ill. They are mentally ill, and this is reflecting on their physical body. So you can have chest pain when you are mentally ill. You can have fatigue, you can have even weight loss and all those things. And people relate it to physical issue because this thing is manifesting in your physical body. So many people will concentrate on the physical body, forgetting that the mental, it is the depression that is causing this also.
Okay. We talked about the school, the teachers. They have a very important role to play when it comes to students.
Of course.
I think behavior of teachers too, towards students is very important because you don't know where is this child coming from. Some children are from they are from depressed homes. I mean, if they come to the class and you shout at them, that will add more problems to their depression.
And Ibrahima, we can also bring this down to office settings. Office settings can be very dangerous. People intimidating people, people bullying people, and half of your time you spend it at the office. So how should we be behaving towards our colleagues? You know, that is very important. You know, a lot of things happen in offices, schools.
We can change a lot of this when people are aware. So awareness is one of the key important things that we should focus in raising the awareness of people when it comes to mental health. So you talked about students coming from broken families or in fact parents that are going through a lot and so on. In one of the schools, when we were having an activity with the students, trying to collect information, and without them writing their name, and to see what they are going presently. And one particular student wrote on the paper, I am having a fight with my sibling. Not simply because he offended me, but because of every day when I close from work, my mother will hug my sibling without hugging me. I try to find out why, she's not explaining. So now I'm reacting anyhow, and I'm confused. I don't know what I've done. And my performance also at school is going down, and the teacher is calling me, you are stupid.
So you see the connection.
These are some of the things.
So you see, at that point, I nearly shed tears. You see? And the students were bold enough to say, no, you can mix them and then give us to read them. They read. So you see, when you engage those students, and then it's very important. They will realize that, okay, there are certain things that are going wrong at home will affect me also in school. And if I'm seeing this, this is what I should put in place or try to see somebody who will help me. So we leave our numbers with the students, and when they want to talk to us, we can also assist them in that. But we always want to engage the parents and in the first place.
I think parents are integral part of their children's upbringing. It is very important. Emotions has to do directly with them. So I feel that pain that she's actually talking about.
Honestly.
And if you talk about this in public, then you're not a You know, it's not important. It's not something that somebody should worry about.
I'll take an example. I mean, for me, sometimes I feel like just seeing my mom and hugging her, you know, this gives me comfort. I mean, it gives me peace of mind. So what about if a person is being rejected, if a person is being sent away, or a mother acting that way? Don't you think it's a problem?
It's a challenge.
You know, if you are being rejected and other people also around you are not there to support you, you go through a lot of pain. And sometimes the only solution you see to get away from that pain is to commit suicide. Is to commit suicide. Although the research have shown that women tend to attempt suicide more than men, but men commit suicide more than women because of the route they use.
Because of the ego.
Yes.
They don't want to come out and talk about it.
They don't want to come out.
Yeah.
And if you don't come out and talk about this, you will not have any relief. And then also the only way you see to get out of this is to commit suicide. And the route they take mostly is to hang themselves or to involve in very dangerous driving or in fact to stab themselves. Yep. But for women, probably they may want to use drugs, of which we may take time.
Although suicide don't go near to suicide.
Yeah, but to convince
Balde,
to convince somebody not to go for suicide, we have to change our attitudes in relation to these things.
Change.
So we are also using this opportunity to appreciate Simone, the fact that she's withdrawn from the Olympics, considering the fact that she's trying to safeguard her mental health. These are some of the things that we need. And also the fact that we need to come out as much as we can to talk about these things when we go through it. So before you leave, due to time constraints, quickly, what 3 tips can you give me in relation to dealing with my stress?
Check on yourself daily.
Okay.
How am I feeling today? When you come to work, how am I, those feelings also affecting the people around me?
Okay.
But also, how are my colleagues behaving at the moment? And what can I put in place to help them?
Okay.
Do I have a place to refer them when they need help?
Okay.
How can I approach them to ask them that I think you need help?
Okay.
And I know a place where to refer you also. So look at this picture.
Yeah.
The pills and the life change. So let's change our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Many people are going to take the pills when it is not necessary.
Okay.
It is our lifestyle that we need to change.
Okay.
So look at the queue. The psychologist or the psychiatrist is waiting down there, but many people are moving to the surgery where they can take the pills and
well, I think lifestyle changing, it's a gradual process.
Of course.
But for the pills, they might think this is just a way out quickly.
Yeah. What the pills does, they suppress those feelings, but they don't take care of the cause, the roots cause of the problem. Like for instance, if the problem is at family level, how will the pills take care of that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Sane, for joining us here. So up next, we have the sports update by Mamadou Gajaga. So thank you so much for joining us, Mamadou Gajaga. It's been a while, and it's good to have you here.
Fantastic. Yeah, feeling good.
Yes, take us through what is happening in the world of sports.
Well, we're going to start with the Olympics, and no better way to mention 2 Gambians' names. First is Gina Bass, the queen of the tracks. 100 and 200 meters. She's looking forward to that, and it's going to start on Friday. That's the hits. And then also the running proper, that is going to be on the 3rd of August in Tokyo, Japan. And Gina Bass and Ibrahima Kamara has spoke to QTV last night. And let's bring you what they've been saying and how prepared they are when it comes to running in the Tokyo Olympic Games.
The objective is to be in the final, and anything that comes out, I will take it in good faith, because it's not an easy task, because we have to meet with so many people, and the people that some are faster than you and you are faster than others. So it's really fight, and we'll fight till the end. Everything comes step by step. When is the time? I'm ready to compete, yes, but I'm not in a pressure or what people say I have to put in my mind. I have to concentrate on what is in me at the moment. People have been praying and expecting many things from us, and by the grace, will make the Gambian people proud, and we are saying that let them add their prayers, and thankful for everyone who is supporting us.
Before they say that the Olympic has been postponed, we were in top form. Not only me, but all the athletes in the center, we are almost 100% ready to be in Tokyo. So when we miss due to the COVID, they said that the Olympic is postponed. We missed so many competitions, then we have to come back and start working again. So, but I was really working for it, like other athletes. But as they say, when it's your time, nothing can stop it. My target to this Olympic is to be in the semi-final. It's my first Olympic. and I have to run the preliminary round. From the preliminary round, I have to run the first round, from the first round to the semi-final. So anything above the semi-final, I will take it as a bonus. But my target is to be in the semi-final.
The story, but Ibrahima Kamara is very much optimistic. Likewise, Guinea-Bissau to do well, but to be realistic, I think getting into the final of the Olympics is a big, big achievement. Remember in the World Championships in 2019, after her glorious finish in the African Games, where she won the 200 meters gold medal and got the silver in the 100 meters, it appears, you know, things are shaping up well for her. But getting into the final will be one of the biggest achievements, I think.
I understand it's not only Gina and Ibrahima Kamara. We also have a man...
judo?
Yes. Judo, unfortunately. I was going to come there. I think that we've talked about it in the past in the news. Fainjai faced somebody from Tajikistan and lost in the 73-kilogram category. Although it took about 3 minutes plus, and he put every effort into the fight to make sure that, you know, he gets something out of it. But, you know, you're meeting the best in the world. So, unfortunately, he lost.
Yeah, it's okay.
Definitely. And for Ibrahima Kamara, we have to say, in the 100 meters, you need a qualification time of 10.5 seconds. He misses out in the qualification, but was able to run 10:16, which is his personal best, and which is also a very, very good record when it comes to 100 meters in the Gambia. So he's looking forward to getting on there, on the tracks, and see how he pans out with the world best.
Yeah. It seems the part of athletics is the hottest part of the whole competition.
If you ask me,
everybody's looking forward to
I
that.
am going to be biased. The athletics is the best sport in the Olympics. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, okay. I can see Mamadou Gajaga is excited about the athletics aspect of it. Looking forward to it.
Yes, definitely. Friday, we're all going to be glued to our television.
Absolutely.
And watch Guinea-Bissau.
Definitely.
Right.
That's in the hits.
I think the support also should help. Gambians should go out in large numbers, to support, to make sure our people, at least Mamadou Gajaga.
But if they go to Tokyo, they're not going to allow them in the stadium.
Tokyo is a no-no.
That one is a no.
No, I know. Only seeing yourself, you know, part of the Olympics, I think it's another achievement. Because Ibrahima said this is his first Olympics.
Yes.
All right. So is that all you have in the world of sports?
Definitely. There's one story that we need to talk about. That's Germany against Nigeria in the basketball, the men's basketball. At some point, Nigeria were leading Germany by 10 points. But eventually, in the nick of time, when it all mattered, the German side were able to beat Nigeria 99-92.
Okay.
It was a fantastic game of basketball between the two nations, and Nigeria were looking forward to at least to get a first win in this encounter, but unfortunately, it didn't go their way.
All right. And we've seen that Simon, the gymnastic, decided to withdraw from the competition, talking about mental health issues. It seems mental health is very important when it comes to sports. It's something you need to safeguard to perform.
Definitely, you have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to compete in any sport or to be able to do any life activity. If you're stressed, well, I'm sorry, it's going to be very difficult for you to give your best. I think I really pity her. I really felt for what happened to her. She would have gone there, compete as a champion, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
She made the right decision, and we wish her well. Due to time constraints, thank you so much, Mamadou Gajaga, for giving us what is happening in the world of sports.
It's
Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Till then.
It's always fantastic to be on this platform.
I forgot to ask you, how is the baby doing?
She's doing very well.
All right, thank you so much. Viewers, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV's This Morning program. Unfortunately, we cannot bring you the Keeping Fit segment today again, but hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to bring it due to time constraints. Like I always say, make sure to come and join this particular program. Sponsor us. We can display your products. We can do everything for you. And Ibrahima, I need to actually also talk about Barcelona fashion because they gave me this outfit. So it's a trouser and everything. I think I need to show this. It's a whole trouser and everything. Barcelona Fashion is located along Caraba Avenue. Go there, visit him. You will get to have an outfit as nice as this or even better. Thank you so much to Barcelona Fashion for your support. This is it. Very comfortable. This is something you can wear anywhere. So go to Barcelona Fashion, have something as nice as this or even better.
Yes, I can attest to that.
Yes, I think you should join me.
Yes, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Barcelona fashion are the best, if you can see.
They are.
This is done by Mohammed, Barcelona fashion.
I think you should join us, Mamadou.
Yes. Yeah. Mamadou Gajaga, come over here.
Mamadou Gajaga is looking good too. Look at you. Oh my God.
Yes, Jenaba.
But I must say, I'm looking better.
Oh.
Am I not looking better?
You see, this is done by Barcelona.
Yeah.
You see, Mohammed, he knows the kind of trousers
we are getting into a fashion parade.
We are getting into a fashion thing. I love
Then I have to bust. I'm also looking good.
So thank you so much, Barcelona Fashion, for providing me this outfit and providing this amazing trouser to my co-host, Ibrahim Abalde. Till we come your way tomorrow on another edition of QTV's This Morning program. It's bye from us. Say bye.
Bye.